everybody. What a week it is, right? We go from one interesting discussion to another, very meaningful discussions. We are gathered now because we want to invite you to acknowledge but also to join our call for local action for migrants and refugees, which aims at localizing the global compact and to putting the focus on the actions that we can do at the level of territories, of the cities, at the local level. You know, our path started in Marrakech and is continuing now through these discussions here in New York. And what we are trying to do as organized constituency of local and regional governments through the mayors' mechanisms and the partnership with IOM, the Mayors Migration Council and United Cities and Local Governments, on behalf of all of us. We are not making differences between organizations. It's not about the logos here. It's about the force that we put behind them. What we are trying to do is to raise awareness about the role that local and regional governments are playing, what they are actually doing, and you see the commitments here in this beautiful report that we have produced. We feel particularly proud because we didn't think it would be possible to identify as many commitments, and it has been possible, and in fact there will be many more coming, we are convinced. So raising that awareness, and I'm sure my colleague Tori Sanuso will talk more about it, is one of the objectives, but we also want to raise awareness not only about what we do, but the vision that you can develop at the local level about what needs to be done. And what needs to be done might not only be in the hands of local government. There might be other actors that need to act. But local governments are in a very good position to actually identify those areas where we need to work. What we want to propose to you is to think together, why is it that if we have come to a point where we are agreeing on a renewed narrative around migration, where we consider it much more of a natural phenomenon, where we are not talking about a border tale, but rather a city's tale, as we call it, a tale of opportunity, of diversity, why aren't we then able to ensure that everybody, regardless of their status, is treated with dignity and has access to universal service provision? It's the hard talk that we want to bring to this table through our actions. And so we call you to join us and to trust local and regional governments as a good partner, as a committed partner that needs to do better, that you can hold accountable, but that can certainly be an ally in ensuring that the ideas behind the global compacts are met, and maybe, hopefully, we can push it a bit further, to go further down the path of the human rights that need to protect the dignity of everybody, everywhere. So no pressure, no ambition at all around this table. Local action is like that. And in order to do that, we want to facilitate exchanges among the partners and with some of the mayors that are delegates to this important forum. But actually, I would like to start because we are very honored that Mr. Antonio Vitorino, the coordinator of the UN Network on Migration and Director General of the International Organization on Migration, is with us. I have to say, without the vision and the commitment of your organization, Director, we wouldn't have been able to make the progress that we are making. And this is something that we don't say lightly, stakeholders, you know that. So we are very pleased that you are here with us to recognize this, to make that tribute to the efforts that you and your team are making, but also inviting you to push us a bit further here. So the floor is yours, and of course, we will hear back from you at the end of the session.
Hello, good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I want to thank Emilia and Vittoria for having me here today. I think that they are witnesses how much both IOM and the UN Migration Network have worked in order to bring the local level to the multilateral debate. And it's not the kind of easy marriage, one has to recognize, but it can be an happy marriage. We are fully persuaded that it's a win-win. And when we bring together the local action with the international intergovernmental debate through the pledges, I believe that we have there a compact for further action. And so please don't hesitate to put pressure on us. Don't hesitate, because what I can guarantee you is that you are not the only ones to putting pressure on us. I very much look forward to our conversation. Thank you for having me here.
Well, thank you very much, Director, for your candid reply. A happy marriage it will be, I can assure you that. And, you know, the most beautiful things in life are hard things to do. Yeah. You know, so we will walk that road together. And now, indeed, to Vittoria Sanuso, the Executive Director of the Mayor's Migration Council. What a week, Vittoria. The floor is yours.
What a week. 4 years. How far we've come over the past 4 years since Marrakech. Today is a celebration day. A lot of work to do, a lot of problems to solve, but let's take a moment and a pause and celebrate. Celebrate the fact that today we are launching together with UCLG, IOM, UNHCR, the call to local action for migrants, refugees. Today, mayors are following through their promise in Marrakech, and they're bringing in New York City not 10, not 30, not 50, but 70 pledges. So, good. I heard that this is the largest contribution of any stakeholder group. So we should, not only we're at the table, we're really setting a record here. So these local actions make tangible impact on the lives of migrants, but they're also keeping the world on track to meet global goals. Let me tell you how. Let me give you a bit of a flavor of what's included in this report. 40 of these actions expand access to services. For example, the City of Montreal is putting forward municipal IDs that allow undocumented migrants to access COVID vaccines, banking services, and other vital services that wouldn't be available otherwise. 19 of these actions serve migrant and refugee youth. For example, the city of Bogota in Colombia is launching nutrition centers for migrant children and their mothers, because there's an attention also to the caregivers. 29 actions expand employment and entrepreneurship opportunities for migrants, refugees. The city of Milan, the mayor was with us just until this morning, is creating green jobs for migrants to take part of the green transition of the city. 16 actions address the impact of the climate crisis on migration, an issue that I know is very important for all of our organizations. For example, the city of Monrovia in Liberia is planting mangroves and advancing natural-based solutions to protect people that are in flood risk-prone areas. This wealth of action is very well captured in this flagship report, fresh out of the press. And our vision is really to make the call to local action the mechanism, the track, the official track for cities to participate in the GCM, but also the GCR process. Not only the IMRF, but also the Global Refugee Forum that we have in 2023 and the GFMD as well. Today, we're here to take stock of how far we have come, but also we're very ambitious and hardworking, so we're thinking about what needs to be done. And as shown in our report that we published recently with UCLG, UNCDF, and other partners, cities face an urban finance gap that really prevents them to deliver at scale. This is why it's critical that international funders and national donors really invest in cities more directly so that cities can access the resources they really need. One way to do this is obviously through the Global Cities Fund of Migrants and Refugees that we created together with UCLG, IOM, and UNHCR. It's always the same suspects, but once you work on a successful initiative, then you want to do everything together, right? So we launched this fund as an experiment in 2021 to face the COVID crisis. But what started as an experiment has now multiplied its initial amount by 5 times in little over a year. And we're now helping a pipeline of 20 cities all around the world, improving the lives of 20,000 migrants. And we're just starting, because today I'm pleased to announce the 5 inaugural winners of the new chapter of the fund that is focused on inclusive climate action. This chapter was funded thanks to the Robert Bosch Stiftung that really took a bet on us on how to scale the fund. And the winners of this chapter, also implemented in partnership with C40 cities, are Accra, Ghana. Congratulations, Mayor. Arua, Uganda. Beira, Mozambique. Monrovia, Liberia. And Johannesburg, South Africa. With this fantastic news, we're also announcing a new 1 million contribution from the IKEA Foundation to expand the fund and the pipeline to 5 additional cities. Similarly to the call to local action, we want to make the Global Cities Fund as the instrument for international donors to really support the local implementation of the compacts. Maybe is a mini migration MPTF in a way. We're copying you. Come talk to me and Emilia if you want to partner with us on growing this initiative. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our moderator for the session, Ms. Fabiana Goince, Director of International Relations from the city of Montevideo. Thank you, Fabiana.
Thank you, Victoria. Good afternoon, everyone. It's really a great pleasure to be able to be in moderating this panel. We are enjoying a moment where we can see local action become real in the work for the GCM, and that's something really amazing. And for that reason, I don't want to take any more time, and I have the pleasure to introduce to our first panelist, who's a mayor representing his city, Mr. Elias Lugwago, Lord Mayor of Kampala. Mayor Lugwago, as a founding member of the MMC Leadership Board, and having submitted a pledge to the call to local action, can you tell us why international diplomacy on migration is a key priority to you? You have 33 minutes, and the floor is yours.
The Director General, IOM, the Executive Director, Mayor Migration Council colleagues, members of the board, all the dear participants here. First and foremost, I'm thrilled and excited to be part of this journey since Marrakech 2018. It's been a long, long journey up to the point where we are today. I really appreciate this, and I'm honored to be part of this. And I thank all the stakeholders who have made it possible for us to realize this particular dream so far where we are. Having said that, why international diplomacy is key, we need to have everybody, every stakeholder on board, and we need all the support that we can get in realizing the ideals of the compacts, because without that network of key players, it's difficult for us to realize the ideals. I'll tell you this, we have in Kampala had a cordial relationship with the IOM. I must say that, and I'm very, very much appreciative. We're working hand in hand with IOM, and we have developed a mechanism of working out a policy network and also legal framework to localize the ideals of the compact. And this is very, very important. We have a very critical challenge, a unique one, in that Uganda, we are the biggest exporter of labor to the Middle East. Annually, we export more than 80,000 youth to the Middle East, 70% of whom are females. More than 80,000 annually. And this had earlier on been done illegally. So through diplomatic circles and with collaboration with the IOM, we have at least managed to weave out a mechanism of regularizing it to make it safer, orderly, and regular. We are yet to get there, but at least we have the basics in place. So far, the regulations are there. We are also working on bilateral arrangements with the recipient countries. Saudi Arabia, we have that bilateral arrangement. We have an agreement, also bilateral agreement with Jordan. We are working one on United Arab Emirates and a couple of others. So all this needs the involvement of all the stakeholders so that we can have it realized. And then finally, as far as funding is concerned, without the support of the international agencies, our hands are tied. We are grateful to the Mayors Migration Council. At least we managed to be part of the beneficiaries of the Global City Fund to see that the most vulnerable people who are hard pressed with the vagaries of the pandemic at least can get a living. We are making some transfers, cash transfers, and also support to skill them so that they can get an alternative source of living. So all those initiatives we are coming up with and all these programs and the agenda all anchored on Agenda 2030, the SDGs and so on and so forth, will all call for multi-sectoral engagement. And that's the reason we need diplomatic intervention. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It sure has been a long journey. And, well, international cooperation is essential. That's part of the GDM too, right? We have the pleasure to have with us Mr. Philippe Rio, Mayor of Orgigny. Welcome, Mayor. Mayor Rio, you are the president of the UCLG Committee on Social Inclusion, Participatory Democracy and Human Rights. You are also the president of the Mayors for Peace initiative in France. Can you tell us how you think the call to local action can connect dots and contribute to other global efforts and movements of local governments? You have 3 minutes and the floor is yours.
Merci beaucoup pour ce moment. It's okay. Merci beaucoup pour cette invitation et cet échange. Nos villes sont des écosystèmes. Nos villes sont mondes et le monde est urbain. Nous avons donc le devoir d'inventer une nouvelle alliance pour répondre dans la quotidienneté, dans la proximité, aux enjeux de ce monde, parce que ce sont nos enjeux avec nos concitoyens. Bien évidemment, le réseau des villes des droits humains constitue et constituera une solution parce qu'il permettra d'engager nos villes avec la société civile et avec le soutien des organisations mondiales à améliorer la vie de nos concitoyens, de répondre aux défis du changement climatique, ou plutôt de gagner les transitions écologiques et sociales. Ne perdons pas l'esprit que les migrations ne sont pas de nos compétences. Nous n'avons pas compétence pour protéger, pour permettre l'accès aux droits. Et pourtant, c'est un devoir que nous avons. Il faut du courage politique, souvent, de l'inventivité, de la créativité, toujours, pour permettre à celles et ceux qui ont moins de droits, voire pas de droits, à créer ce parcours pour les femmes, et je pense à l'inclusion économique, aux enfants, pour le droit à l'éducation, les protéger des réseaux criminels qui profitent des vulnérabilités, des fragilités de ce statut. Et pourtant, ils contribuent magnifiquement à la vie locale et parfois même à la vie de notre pays à l'échelle mondiale. Voilà le grand écart dans lequel nous sommes, mais nous le faisons avec beaucoup de force, d'engagement, de sincérité. Et pour terminer, le besoin d'avoir un soutien extrêmement fort et puissant d'organisations internationales qui partagent des valeurs, un diagnostic et les enjeux du monde de demain, lorsque parfois les gouvernements locaux sont en retrait, timides, voire vont à l'opposé du respect des droits humains. Merci de votre attention.
Thank you very much, Mayor. As you say, partnership between stakeholders is so important, and it's not a matter of jurisdiction, right? Because it's not a border tale, as we said yesterday, talking about the Lampedusa Charter. Now we are going to have the pleasure to hear Ms. Stephanie Scarf, Head of the Division for Policy Issues of Displacement and Migration from the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. As a national government, you have made the decision to invest to the call to local action and partner with the mayor's mechanism through a joint pledge. Why has this been a priority for your government? What action do you think other member states should take to support local efforts to meet global migration goals? The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. I also would like to start in congratulating you for this huge success for the call of action and also the very impressive 70 pledges you mentioned to the IMRF. So this already shows the strong leadership also of mayors and of municipal actors. So thank you very much. I'm delighted today about the participation of so many outstanding city, local and municipal representatives from around the world, and it's really great to be here today and to learn from your experiences. Thank you very much for sharing your insights and how to practically foster the benefits of human mobility through better inclusion of the local level. Why is Germany supporting these efforts? We believe that the participation of local authorities in international migration governance is crucial. Migration happens at the municipal level. You just mentioned it very concretely. The municipalities are the ones confronted with the challenges of migration, but they also have the first-hand knowledge on the potential of migration and of the valuable contribution of migrants. This is why Germany works closely with the mayor's mechanism and supports its call to action. Let me give two brief examples on why we believe local actors must be engaged in policymaking on all levels and why we all have to contribute to ensure this participation. So first of all, cities, towns, municipalities provide migrants with access to services and adequate housing. They facilitate integration into the labor market. Very impressed to hear about the pledges also on labor market integration. They are also at the forefront when it comes to shaping migration into being an opportunity for everyone on integration and also on ensuring social cohesion. Migration policy is too often only discussed at the national level, even though implementation is local. Secondly, local and regional governments are knowledge bearers and catalysts for innovative and human-centered practices. As the previous speaker has illustrated, also you were mentioning creative and innovative approaches, and you, Mr. Mayor, you were also referring to the innovation potential of the work on the local level. So this is what we see from a development perspective as crucial and what we need to make the implementation of the GCM a success. States and multilateral actors can only gain from learning about local approaches and innovative actions to implement the global compacts. The experiences made on the local level should and must inform the design of migration policies on the national and international level. We also have a very concrete example on, in addition to our support to the call of action, we support city-to-city corporations globally and have even founded a dedicated service agencies on municipalities in one world, where we have different programs for the cooperation of cities. So, for example, we have a specific program on supporting municipalities in Jordan, Lebanon, and Turkey that host Syrian refugees to build partnerships with German municipalities also hosting Syrian refugees. I was based in Beirut before I started on this position, and I had many talks with mayors from Lebanese municipalities and German municipalities, which were showing me very concretely that this is an enormous opportunity for knowledge exchange and really sharing experience, for example, on very practical issues like economic development, urban planning, vocational training. So something which was very informative also for our development cooperation and our political relations between Germany and Lebanon. So that's why we are committed to continuing our cooperation with local authorities and to strengthening local ownership in migration governance. We thank the Mayors Mechanism for the fruitful collaboration and look very much forward also to learn more about the call for local action. And lastly, I also would like to mention that we are very proud on our common pledge, which we included into the German pledge to the IMRF. So the common pledge with the Mayors Mechanism to promote the continued engagement of official and regional governments in international processes on migration. So something we really would like to continue to support in the coming years until the next IMRF, bring it to the full potential and using really your engagement, your strong leadership to bring forward the implementation of the GCM. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we really hope that you can inspire other national governments on the support to local action, because it's really important and local governments really need it. So now we are going to give the floor to Ms. Ottilie Bals, Senior Vice President of the Robert Busch Stiftung. Hello. You have made a decision to invest in cities. Why and what role do you think philanthropies play in supporting local efforts to meet global migration goals? And what would be your advice for other foundations, funders, and the private sector more broadly to support the localization of the GCM objectives? You have 3 minutes too, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Fabiana. And first of all, I would like to congratulate UCLG, the Mayors Mechanism, the Mayors Migration Council, IOM, and UNHCR for their efforts to launch this call to action today. And I think the number of mayors present here at the IMRF and their messages really show the relevance and the important voice local authorities can have here at the UN and in the follow-up of the GCM. As a philanthropy, we at the Robert Bosch Stiftung look carefully where we can have the biggest impact and where we could make the greatest difference alongside national and international donors. And supporting the Mayors Migration Council is one of these examples, because we recognize the importance of local leadership in implementing the GCM objectives. And in being part of these discussions, we have put a special focus on supporting cities in addressing international migration issues, alongside with our overall goal of supporting meaningful participation of non-state actors. And one initiative that has been mentioned already and that we were able to support was the Global Cities Fund for Inclusive Climate Action. While the MMCC 40 Cities Mayoral Task Force on Climate Migration was developing its agenda, we were able to set up a new chapter for a Global Cities Fund on Inclusive Climate Action in order to directly finance pilots in 5 African cities that address climate migration. And at this point, as Vittoria Sanuso has just announced, I'm happy that the 5 cities of Accra, Arua, Beira, Johannesburg, and Monrovia were selected, and we very much look forward to seeing the results on the ground. And while I believe it is up to mayors and organizations like the MMC, along with all its partners, to drive the agenda, what we on the philanthropic side can do is actually invest in these new ideas and approaches, test or take risks, and ideally showcase where and how direct investment in cities can be made. And I believe that we can be even more effective if we work in alliances of funders and pool our funds and don't act in silos, but jointly and towards a common goal. And so this is why we are really happy that the IKEA Foundation has decided to continue with the chapter and topic and support 5 additional cities that are yet to be selected. And so what I can say to fellow funders and private sector partners is that from our experience, when you have mayors that who wish to make a change, then cities can be ideal partners. Ideal partners to work with in order to actually try new approaches and to working with a network of local partners. And in making the links to the policy discussions to the national, regional, and international global level, as it is done here at the GCM Review Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, we hope that you can inspire other foundations too soon. And as you have been so respectful with the time, it makes me nervous to tell you you have only 3 minutes. But we are able to make another question, an open question. Thank you. That anyone who wants to answer can do it. And the question is, what progress would you want to see in the next 4 years when we meet again at the next IMRF? Any mayor, maybe? Sorry.
Come again, let me hear it once again.
What progress would you want to see in the next 4 years for the next IMRF?
Oh.
It's a big one.
Make the wish list.
Only 3 minutes? 1 hour.
Well, I would like to see more of efforts being made towards addressing the structural challenges. Because right now, in this review, we are focusing on the modalities made to ensure that migration is made safe, is orderly, is regular. But how about addressing those structural challenges which force people to get from their places of origin? I've mentioned, for example, Kampala, Uganda, where we are externalizing labor to the Middle East. And what we are working on with IOM is to make it safe, regular, and orderly. But I want to have a reversal of the same. Why should these youth get out of Uganda to go to the Middle East? Can't we address the structure, the drivers, those challenges, and see that they stay in their countries of origin? Isn't it possible? Because right now, we have registered 216 companies dealing in externalization of labor. It's horrible. I don't want to see it happen. Why should we register companies for purposes of actually, we are more or less like regularizing trafficking in human beings. As a country, we have registered companies, and their sole business is to externalize labor. But we are saying no. These poor youth should get employment within their localities, with their countries of origin. So in the next 4 years, I would like to see the mileage we shall have achieved in that particular direction. How far have we gone in addressing those social, economic challenges causing people to flee their countries of origin?
that's a challenging one, but opportunities for youth are really important. Yesterday we were talking with many young people, and they were talking about that too. Let's hope that in the next 4 years we can see a lot of that. Mayor, would you like to say something too?
3 mots me viennent... tout le monde là, c'est bon. 3 mots, et pas 3 minutes. Action, action et action. Les villes ont un pouvoir d'agir, mais elles ont des besoins pour agir. Les mutations de ce monde sur le terrain sont profondes et nous devons inventer tous les jours et nous devons inventer un nouveau récit en même temps. Parce qu'il y a une confrontation forte entre les populations en place et les migrations qui dépassent le périmètre, les frontières de nos villes. D'abord parce que nos villes n'ont pas de frontières. Et donc, ce récit nouveau est extrêmement important, mais il sera concret et crédible si et seulement si l'action, c'est-à-dire la parole et l'action immédiatement. C'est quelque chose de très important. La crise Covid que nous, j'espère, venons de terminer, nous a démontré que nous ne faisions pas la différence dans la distribution de masques, dans l'aide alimentaire, dans la lutte contre la pauvreté, dans la lutte contre le chômage. Si une personne avait la totalité de ses droits, moins de droits ou pas de droits, selon son statut. Mais nous avons été en dehors de nos compétences et de nos prérogatives pour faire cela. Parce que nous sommes animés par la globalité de la personne et par ses valeurs de droits humains. Et donc, action, action, action.
Thank you, Mayor Rio. Action, action, action. We all have to take note. And well, we have the pleasure to have here to Mr. Antonio Vitorino, coordinator of the UN Network and Director General of IOM. So, welcome, Mr. Vitorino. We are going to give the floor to Mayor Luago again, who has something for him.
Should I stand up? Well, dear Mr. Vitorino, I hope I'm pronouncing it
Perfect.
Wonderful. I think the discussion you have had this afternoon here, this round table, is a clear testimony that local authorities are key stakeholders in implementing the compacts, that is the one for migrants and refugees. I think this is a testament which is very, very clear. And I have a singular honor and privilege to hand over to you in your capacity as the coordinator of the network for the enforcement and implementation of the compact, these concrete 70 commitments from local authorities. And as local governments, local authorities, we commit to fully implementing the compacts and deepening those efforts and supporting you in all of your efforts and initiatives as the coordinator of the network. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, on behalf of the UN Migration Network, of which I am the coordinator, I would like to tell you that I'm honored to receive these pledges that represent the commitment of local and regional governments in the implementation of the Global Compact. And if you allow me, I would say that these pledges are not just symbolic, because the truth is that I had inside information. And I've come to the conclusion that they bring along measurable solutions at the community level. And therefore, I believe that this call for local action is a very clear demonstration that you all put migrants and refugees at the very heart of your quest, our quest for equality, for prosperity, and for justice, leaving no one behind, which is the purpose of the Sustainable Development Goals. And of course, I'm the first one to recognize that, as I said in the beginning, linking local action with a multilateral organization raises quite a number of question marks. But from the seat I have today, I must say that when I look to what is happening in your communities at the local and regional level, I feel that that's where we can find more innovative solutions. And that is something crucial for the migration management. Because the problems that lie behind migration are long-standing problems. The deep root causes that the mayor of Kampala spoke, we know them. There are new drivers of mobility that we need to take into consideration, such as climate change, the impact of climate change in people's mobility, such as the food scarcity and food insecurity. And those elements require a very focused approach where local authorities are key players. And if we succeed at that level, we may guarantee that the Global Compact is not just another talk shop, that the Global Compact is not just one of those beautiful documents that we endorse, because they are so far away, they are so high in the values that we will not be confronted with the proof of testing. But no, you are the ones who will be making the proof of the validity of the values and objectives of the Global Compact when dealing with concrete situations of integrating migrants in your communities, on contributing to the stabilization of your communities, particularly in a moment where, I must say, I see with concern the rising of a rhetoric against migration that fuels hate speech, discrimination, which is undermining the values of our democracies. So I think that we need to recognize the added value of local implementation of the Global Compact that makes the Global Compact a living document, but at the same time, the question of representation. And I think that Emilia and Vittoria can testify that from my side, from IOM side, from the UN network, we have always been insisting that national governments do need to recognize the representation of local governments and regional governments in the international migration debate and in the governance of migration at the global level. That's why I would like to quote the Mayor Yvonne that found a very good soundbite. It's global action means national success, if I quote correct. Local action means national success. And I would dare to add a third pronoun, which means global success too. Because we need to have joint endeavor to address the challenges of migration. And you are on the front line. You have the difficult task of guaranteeing that migrants can be integrated in acceding to your social services. And I think that you have made a remarkable contribution to the value of integration during the pandemic. The very many examples that we have collected from your concrete action, to make the advocacy for having countries recognizing the need to fully integrate migrants and refugees in healthcare, in the treatment, in vaccination, has been fundamental for us at the global level to make the case with the governments. But now we need the governments to recognize one crucial point. You have limited mandates, of course, territorial and also on substance. And you have limited resources. And investing in solutions at local level can be a win-win solution at national level. And that advocacy needs to be done by you, of course, but also by us. And I conclude with this. You can count on the UN Migration Network to make that point. I think that Victoria can testify that half of the projects that have been funded by the Multi-Partner Trust Fund that was created by the Global Compact involved the participation of local authorities, of cities. And we have even a specific pilot project bringing together the city of Santiago in Chile and the city of Mexico, Mexico City. And we believe that if these examples in the field are successful, we can be able to leverage funding for the local authorities to deal with migration. And that the Robert Bosch Stiftung example will be followed by others. Thank you to the Foundation, and above all, thank you to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody, and thank you to the teams that have made this possible. Thank you, Sophie, Maggie, Fatima, Pablo, and so many others that I'm certainly forgetting. Thank you to the team of IOM and UNHCR.
Okay, if you two gentlemen want to sit back down.